Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today, we will learn about the explosive drama unfolding between Drew Cain, Willow Tate, and Harrison Chase during the week of November 10th to 14th. The tension is reaching a boiling point as Drew's jealousy spirals out of control, and he may be plotting something sinister that could destroy Chase's entire life. Drew's jealousy reaches dangerous levels. The upcoming week promises explosive confrontations as Drew Cain finds himself consumed by a jealousy so intense it threatens to cloud his judgment completely. According to the latest spoilers and updates, the congressman will witness something that sends him into a tailspin: the undeniable connection between his fiancée Willow Tate and her ex-lover Harrison Chase. What makes this situation particularly volatile is that Drew isn't the type of man who sits back and accepts defeat. He's a calculated individual who has built his entire political career on strategy and manipulation, and now those same skills may be turned against an unsuspecting police detective. The intensity of Drew's reaction suggests that this isn't just about casual concern or mild discomfort. This is about a man who sees his carefully constructed future crumbling before his eyes, and he's prepared to do whatever it takes to eliminate the threat. Sources close to the set indicate that Drew's transformation from concerned fiancé to vengeful adversary will be swift and ruthless, showcasing a side of the character that viewers haven't fully witnessed before. Chase's frequent prison visits raise red flags. The weekly preview footage provides viewers with a glimpse into what's been happening behind the scenes at Pentonville, and it's enough to set off alarm bells for anyone paying attention. Detective Harrison Chase has been making regular pilgrimages to the prison facility to visit Willow, and these aren't just quick, professional check-ins. In the preview, Chase is shown sitting across from an exhausted-looking Willow, her face drawn and pale from the harsh realities of prison life. The fluorescent lighting of the visiting room casts shadows under her eyes, emphasizing just how much the incarceration has taken its toll on her physical and emotional well-being. But it's what happens next that truly captures the essence of their connection. As Willow's eyes begin to well up with tears, Chase reaches across the table without hesitation. The camera deliberately focuses on their hands coming together, fingers interlacing in a gesture that speaks volumes about the depth of their bond. This isn't a casual touch between acquaintances or even just friends. This is the intimate connection of two people who share a profound history. The way they look into each other's eyes during this moment reveals layers of unspoken emotion, comfort, understanding, longing, and perhaps even regret for what might have been. What makes this situation even more problematic is the frequency of these visits. In a crucial voiceover, Dante Falconeri reveals a bombshell piece of information. Chase has been to see her 3 times. 3 visits since Willow's arrival at Pentonville might not seem excessive on the surface, but in the world of police procedure and professional boundaries, it's raising serious questions. Each visit represents another opportunity for Chase to blur the lines between his professional duties and his personal feelings, and it hasn't gone unnoticed by his colleagues, his superiors, or most importantly, his wife. Drew witnesses the intimate moment. The preview cleverly juxtaposes the tender moment between Chase and Willow with a close-up shot of Drew's face, and the expression captured there is nothing short of explosive. Though the footage may have been taken from a different scene, a common practice in soap opera promos to build anticipation, the emotion is real and palpable. Drew's jaw is clenched, his eyes narrowed into dangerous slits, and there's a barely controlled fury simmering just beneath the surface. This is the face of a man who has been betrayed, or at least believes he has been, and he's already calculating his next move. What's particularly telling about Drew's reaction is where he's choosing to direct his anger. In many relationships, when one partner feels threatened by an ex, both parties share the blame. But Drew's psychology works differently. He's so fixated on Willow, so convinced that she's the victim in all of this, that he can't bring himself to be angry with her. Instead, all of his rage, all of his jealousy, and all of his desire for revenge is being channeled directly toward Harrison Chase. In Drew's mind, Chase is the predator, the manipulator, the one who's taking advantage of Willow's vulnerable state to worm his way back into her heart, the prime suspect behind bars. The circumstances that brought Willow to Pentonville in the first place add another layer of complexity to this already tangled situation. Willow currently sits in a cell as the main suspect in Drew's shooting, an ironic twist that hasn't been lost on anyone involved. The woman Drew claims to love, the woman he's fighting to protect and defend, is accused of being the one who pulled the trigger and tried to end his life. The investigation has focused primarily on Willow due to various pieces of circumstantial evidence, witness statements, and her known connection to Drew. Police Commissioner Anna Devane has been walking a tightrope throughout this investigation, trying to maintain the integrity of the case while managing her officer's personal involvement. She's already had to pull Chase aside for a serious conversation, cautioning him about the potential consequences of his actions. Anna warned him in no uncertain terms that his obvious bias toward Willow could jeopardize the entire investigation, potentially leading to evidence being thrown out, procedural violations being exposed, or even accusations of police misconduct. These aren't idle threats. Anna has seen careers destroyed over less, and she's trying to prevent Chase from becoming another casualty. Yet despite these warnings, despite the professional risks, and despite the personal costs, Chase continues to believe wholeheartedly in Willow's innocence. He's convinced that she's being framed or that crucial evidence is being overlooked, and he's determined to prove it. This unwavering faith in her character is admirable on one level, but it's also incredibly dangerous given his position within the PCPD. Brook Lynn's growing concerns. The situation has created significant tension in Chase's marriage to Brook Lynn Quartermain Chase, a woman who has never been shy about expressing her opinions. Brook Lynn has watched with increasing alarm as her husband has become more and more consumed with Willow's case. She's noticed how he talks about Willow constantly, how he rushes to defend her at every opportunity, and how he seems willing to sacrifice everything including his badge and their marriage for his ex-girlfriend. Brook Lynn's concerns aren't unfounded. She can see what everyone else sees. Chase's judgment is completely compromised when it comes to Willow. He's not thinking clearly, not acting rationally, and not considering the consequences of his actions. Brook Lynn has tried to talk sense into him, tried to make him understand that he can't save everyone, and that sometimes the best thing you can do is step back and let the justice system work. But Chase isn't listening. He's on a mission, and nothing she says seems to penetrate the wall he's built around his convictions. The strain on their marriage is becoming more visible with each passing day. Brook Lynn is struggling with feelings of jealousy, inadequacy, and fear. She's starting to wonder if Chase ever truly got over Willow, if she's always been second choice, or if their entire relationship has been built on a foundation of unresolved feelings and convenient timing. These doubts are eating away at her, creating a distance between them that may become impossible to bridge. Drew's campaign to free Willow. While Chase has been making emotional visits to Pentonville, Drew has been working a different angle. He's been leveraging his connections, his political influence, and his resources to mount a sophisticated campaign aimed at clearing Willow's name and securing her release. Drew has hired the best legal team money can buy, investigators to dig up alternative suspects, and public relations experts to manage the media narrative surrounding the case. Drew's approach is calculated and methodical, using every tool at his disposal to bend the system to his will. He's been meeting with prosecutors, calling in favors from fellow politicians, and applying pressure wherever he can. To the outside world, this looks like the actions of a devoted fiancé fighting for the woman he loves. But there's something darker underlying his motivations: a need for control, a refusal to accept any outcome other than the one he's predetermined, and an ego that won't allow him to be the victim in anyone's narrative. The irony of Drew fighting so hard to free the woman accused of shooting him hasn't escaped public notice. Media outlets are having a field day with the story, crafting headlines that range from romantic to suspicious. Some paint Drew as a modern-day hero, standing by his love despite everything. Others question whether his involvement suggests knowledge that could compromise the investigation or indicate that there's more to the story than the public knows. A sinister plot takes shape, but Drew's latest obsession isn't with legal strategies or media management, it's with eliminating Harrison Chase from the equation entirely. The preview's inclusion of Danny's comment about Chase's multiple visits wasn't accidental. The producers are deliberately planting seeds for what's to come, and those seeds point to a devastating plot that could destroy Chase's career and personal life in one fell swoop. Drew is a man who understands how to exploit weaknesses, and he's identified Chase's Achilles heel, his career. Chase has built his entire adult life around being a police officer. It's not just what he does, it's who he is. The badge represents honor, integrity, and purpose for Chase. Losing it would be devastating, and Drew knows this. Even more importantly, Drew knows that Brook Lynn has expressed concerns about Chase risking his job over Willow, creating a vulnerability in the marriage that can be exploited. The question now isn't whether Drew will act on his jealousy, but rather how far he's willing to go. Will he simply report Chase's visits through official channels, triggering an internal affairs investigation? Or will he take more direct action, manufacturing evidence or creating situations designed to force Chase into making career-ending mistakes? The incriminating photo scheme, one particularly chilling possibility that's being discussed among fans and insiders, involves Drew potentially documenting Chase and Willow's interactions. Imagine Drew returning to Pentonville, perhaps under the guise of visiting his fiancée, only to position himself where he can witness Chase's next visit. Armed with his phone, Drew could capture photographs of the intimate moments between Chase and Willow, their hands clasped together, their eyes locked in meaningful gazes, their body language screaming of a connection that goes far beyond friendship. Such photographs would be absolutely devastating in the right hands. For Chase, a police detective, to be photographed holding hands with a prisoner, especially one who's the prime suspect in an attempted murder case, would be grounds for immediate suspension and likely termination. The optics alone would be impossible to defend. It wouldn't matter that Chase hasn't technically crossed any legal lines or that his visits have been conducted during regular visiting hours available to any member of the public. The appearance of impropriety would be enough, but Drew might not stop at simply getting Chase fired. He could take the photos to the media, ensuring that they're splashed across every news outlet and social media platform. The scandal would be inescapable, destroying not just Chase's career, but his reputation and his marriage. Brook Lynn, already concerned about Chase's obsession with Willow, would be confronted with photographic evidence that her worst fears might be justified. The images would tell a story, whether accurate or not, of a man who's still in love with his ex and willing to throw away everything for her. The ruthlessness of such a plan would mark a new low for Drew, but it would also be perfectly in character for a man who's used to getting what he wants through manipulation and power plays. Drew has always operated in the gray areas of morality, justifying his actions through carefully constructed rationalizations. In his mind, he wouldn't be destroying an innocent man's life, he'd be protecting Willow from someone who's taking advantage of her vulnerability and eliminating a rival who poses a threat to their future together. Chase walks into the trap. The tragedy of this situation is that Chase likely has no idea what's coming. He's so focused on helping Willow, so convinced that he's doing the right thing, that he's blind to the danger he's creating for himself. Chase has always been a by-the-book cop, someone who believes in the system and plays by the rules. The idea that someone would deliberately set out to destroy him probably hasn't crossed his mind, and certainly not that it would be Drew doing the destroying. Chase's fatal flaw in this scenario is his predictability. He's established a pattern of visiting Willow, and patterns make people vulnerable. Drew will be watching and waiting for the perfect moment to strike, and when he does, Chase won't see it coming until it's too late. The preview's ominous tone suggests that the coming week will see these tensions explode into action, with consequences that will reverberate throughout Port Charles for months to come. The fallout begins. As this storyline unfolds, viewers can expect to see relationships shattered, careers destroyed, and lives irrevocably changed. The battle between Drew and Chase over Willow isn't just a love triangle, it's a collision between two men with fundamentally different approaches to life and love. Chase represents honor, integrity, and selfless devotion. Drew represents power, manipulation, and possessive control. Only one can emerge victorious, and the cost of that victory may be higher than anyone imagined. Next, we will learn about the issue that has taken Port Charles by storm and left longtime fans wondering if they're dreaming or if soap opera magic has truly worked its miracle once again. The return of Detective Nathan West, a man who was mourned, buried, and remembered as one of the most tragic losses the PCPD has ever endured. The chaos at Anna's office. For once in the tumultuous history of Port Charles, the most chaotic location isn't the police department headquarters, where criminals seem to escape on a weekly basis, nor is it the hospital corridors, where medical ethics take a back seat to romantic drama. It's Anna Devane's office, a place that has become ground zero for the impossible. The office walls have witnessed countless WSB secrets, but nothing quite prepared anyone for what would unfold when Nathan West, a detective who had been officially declared dead years ago, walked through those doors and did something that should have been impossible. He asked Anna for his badge back. The request itself was straightforward, professional even, but the weight behind those words carried 7 years of grief, unanswered questions, and the kind of soap opera resurrection that reminds viewers why they keep tuning in week after week. Nathan's timing, however, couldn't have been more complicated, because shortly after his stunning request, Anna herself vanished from Port Charles under circumstances that remain murky at best. The official story circulating through the PCPD hallways claims Anna was summoned for an urgent WSB assignment, the kind of top-secret mission that requires immediate departure and no questions asked. But those who know Anna's history understand that official stories rarely tell the whole truth. The unofficial version whispered among those in the know suggests something far more sinister: a kidnapping, possibly orchestrated by one of the many enemies Anna has accumulated during her decades of espionage work. Her disappearance left a power vacuum at the PCPD, and it also left Nathan's badge request hanging in bureaucratic limbo, at least until Dante Falconeri stepped into the picture. With Anna gone and the department in need of steady leadership, Dante found himself promoted to acting commissioner, a position that came with enormous responsibility and the authority to make decisions that would have lasting consequences. The badge and the Brotherhood. Dante didn't hesitate, didn't convene a committee, didn't drown the decision in red tape. He simply gave his old partner exactly what he'd asked for: his badge back. The gesture was more than administrative protocol. It was a statement about loyalty, about the bonds forged between partners who have faced down danger together, and about the kind of trust that doesn't evaporate just because someone was presumed dead for 7 years. The moment these two men stood face to face again, with Nathan's badge changing hands, felt like one of those increasingly rare soap opera collisions where the history playing out on screen and the real-life friendship between the actors run on precisely the same current, creating a scene that resonates with authenticity. There was no artifice in that exchange, no need for the actors to manufacture emotion, because the genuine connection between Dominic Zamprogna and Ryan Pavey provided all the foundation the scene required. For viewers who have followed General Hospital through its various eras, resurrections have become almost commonplace. Characters return from the dead with surprising regularity, each comeback accompanied by increasingly elaborate explanations ranging from witness protection programs to mad scientists preserving bodies in cryogenic chambers. But what made Nathan's return different, what elevated it above typical soap opera shenanigans, was the palpable sense of genuine reunion between Dante and Nathan, a connection that transcended the scripted dialogue and reminded longtime fans of why these character pairings matter so much to the fabric of the show. Their partnership had been one of the PCPD's most effective teams before tragedy struck, and seeing them reunited brought back memories of cases solved, criminals apprehended, and the easy camaraderie that made their scenes together feel effortless. Behind the scenes Brotherhood. Dominic Zamprogna, the talented actor who brings Dante Falconeri to life with such depth and authenticity, opened up about what it's really like having Ryan Pavey back in the General Hospital studios. And his comments reveal just how much the off-screen friendship mirrors what viewers see on their screens. In a revealing interview with Soap Opera Digest, Zamprogna didn't hide his enthusiasm when he admitted that having Pavey back in the building has been great. It kind of feels like he never left, you know. That assessment speaks volumes about the kind of working relationship these two actors cultivated during their time together. A professional rapport built on mutual respect and genuine affection that makes their on-screen partnership so believable. The easy rhythm between them wasn't manufactured nostalgia designed to tug at viewers' heartstrings, nor was it the result of extensive rehearsals meant to recapture old magic. It was pure instinct, the kind of muscle memory that kicks in when talented actors who genuinely enjoy working together find themselves sharing scenes again. 7 years is a long time in any profession, long enough for relationships to fade, for connections to weaken, for the spark that once existed to dim considerably. But none of that happened with Zamprogna and Pavey. He's the same dude. He's exactly the same guy, Zamprogna said with obvious fondness. And that consistency matters enormously in an industry where egos can inflate, where success can change people, and where maintaining genuine friendships becomes increasingly challenging. Maintaining the connection, the bond between these two actors didn't simply survive Nathan's on-screen death. It actively continued through the years of separation, sustained by the kind of casual but consistent communication that characterizes real friendship. He and I always kind of texted each other randomly at times, Zamprogna revealed, offering a glimpse into how modern technology allows relationships to persist even when couriers take people in different directions. Those random text messages, perhaps sharing industry news, commenting on mutual friends, or simply checking in during holidays and birthdays, kept the connection alive and ensured that when Pavey eventually returned to General Hospital, there would be no awkwardness, no need to rebuild what had already been firmly established. But it's been really nice to have him back, Zamprogna continued, and while that statement might seem like standard publicity speak, the way he delivered it suggests something deeper and more meaningful. The return matters to Zamprogna primarily because Pavey brings exceptional energy to a workplace that desperately needs it, especially during this particular period when General Hospital, like all long-running soaps, faces the constant challenge of maintaining quality while working within increasingly tight production schedules and budgets. Between marathon shooting days that can stretch 12 hours or longer, and the emotionally demanding storylines that require actors to access deep wells of feeling take after take, the atmosphere on any soap opera set can become draining, intense, and sometimes overwhelmingly serious. The energy factor. That's precisely why the kind of positive energy that Ryan Pavey radiates becomes so valuable, not just as a pleasant bonus, but as an essential component of workplace morale. Zamprogna emphasized this point explicitly when he noted that it's good for morale, but he went further, explaining that beyond the interpersonal benefits, Pavey's return is genuinely good for the show itself, a timely reminder of how much texture, depth, and richness General Hospital gains when familiar faces walk back through those studio doors, carrying with them years of character history and established relationships that don't require extensive exposition. New characters certainly have their place in keeping soap operas fresh and relevant, but there's an irreplaceable quality to watching characters with deep roots interact, to seeing relationships that have been tested by time and tragedy find their footing again. The technical aspects of soap opera production are demanding enough hitting marks precisely, delivering dialogue while adjusting for last-minute script changes, maintaining continuity across scenes shot out of sequence, but the emotional labor required shouldn't be underestimated. Actors must access genuine feeling while working at a pace that would exhaust most people, and having cast members who elevate the atmosphere, who make the long days more bearable through their positive presence, who remind everyone why they fell in love with this craft in the first place. That's not just nice to have. It's essential to sustaining quality over the long haul. The absurdity of soap logic. Of course, seeing a man you once buried, whose funeral you attended, whose death rocked your character to the core, takes a particular kind of acting muscle and requires embracing the beautiful absurdity that defines soap opera storytelling. Zamprogna captured this perfectly when he described the surreal experience of arriving on set and encountering multiple resurrections simultaneously. You go onto a set, and it's like, there's Britt and there's Nathan, and I say to her, "So, how are you alive?" "Oh, I faked my own death." "Oh, okay, cool. And how are you alive?" And he is like, "I have no idea." The hilarious exchange reveals both the inherent ridiculousness of soap opera logic where death is more of a suggestion than a permanent condition and the professional grace required to sell these moments without descending into parody. Kelly Thiebaud's return as Britt Westburn added another layer to this resurrection party, and having multiple presumed dead characters reappearing simultaneously could have felt like lazy writing or jump the shark desperation, except that the actors involved committed so fully to the emotional reality of the reunions that viewers found themselves willing to suspend disbelief once again. Zamprogna knows exactly how absurd it can be, how soap opera logic demands absolute sincerity from its performers while simultaneously winking at the audience's awareness that none of this makes conventional sense. But instead of fighting against that inherent contradiction, he leaned into the human part instead, focusing on the genuine emotion of reunion rather than getting bogged down in explanations that would never fully satisfy anyway. Genuine joy. Seeing Ryan Pavey walk onto that set brought undeniable happiness to Dominic Zamprogna, who exclaimed with unfiltered enthusiasm, "I'm happy my buddy's back on the show." That simple declaration, stripped of pretense or professional polish, reveals everything about why the Dante and Nathan reunion works so effectively on screen. The genuine affection translates directly to the characters, making their reunion feel earned rather than manufactured, emotional rather than obligatory. That's exactly how the scene played out for viewers. There was no awkward distance to overcome, no forced solemnity weighing down the moment, just two partners who had genuinely missed each other closing a 7-year gap with a hug and a high five that felt completely natural and utterly right. The physicality of that reunion mattered to the firm handshake that evolved into an embrace, the hand on the shoulder that communicated years of unspoken emotion, the high five that celebrated survival against impossible odds. All of these small gestures combined to create a moment that resonated with authenticity. Soap opera scenes can sometimes feel overly choreographed, with every movement planned and every expression rehearsed. But this reunion had the loose, spontaneous quality of real human connection. The kind of moment that reminds viewers why they invest so much emotion in these fictional relationships. Hard over twist. On a show that's been absolutely rife with resurrections lately, where bringing characters back from the dead has become almost standard operating procedure, where viewers have learned to expect the impossible and rarely bat an eye when supposedly deceased characters reappear with varying degrees of explanation. Dante and Nathan's reunion stood out precisely because it didn't need a twist. There was no evil twin, no plastic surgery to explain away casting changes, no elaborate conspiracy that required 15 minutes of exposition to unpack the reunion. Just needed heart. And thanks to the genuine friendship between Dominic Zamprogna and Ryan Pavey, heart was the one element in abundant supply. Sometimes the most powerful moments in soap opera storytelling are also the simplest, the ones that trust the audience to appreciate authentic human emotion without requiring elaborate plot gymnastics to justify their existence. As Port Charles continues to deal with the fallout from multiple resurrections, mysterious disappearances, and the ever-present threat of whatever crisis looms on the horizon, having Nathan West back on the canvas provides General Hospital with renewed opportunities for compelling storytelling rooted in established character relationships. The show gains a proven character with years of history. Fans get to see a beloved detective return to active duty, and Dante finally has his partner back, ready to face whatever impossible challenges Port Charles will inevitably throw their way.